additions, the add-ons. We already have the last year's financial bill.
Yeah.
So that financial bill had its own problems. You had the housing levy and everything else. But nobody is mentioning the housing levy today.
Yes.
They're all speaking about the add-ons, the new things that came in through this financial bill that the CS for Treasury is trying to add.
Yes.
That brings an additional revenue of around 300 to 400 billion shillings. So the middle ground for me will be we can do away with the add-ons.
Yes.
Yes, whatever you had last year was still controversial, but somehow we have been able to reconcile with it, and we have been pushed through. We went to court and everything else, but we got somewhere, and the year came to an end. So, I mean, if this is the big deal, because previously,
yes,
if you listen to all these economists speaking, the politicians and everybody else will tell you the only reason why we never had these controversial, discussions is because the progressiveness of the add-ons was never that big. If you had, for example, 2023, moving to 2023-2024, the difference in the budget will be 50 billion shillings in terms of revenue collection measures.
Yes.
And that is, something that we can see it's possible from the economy, because the economy grows every year.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many things, but for me, I believe the president has a choice to make.
Yes. Before we get to, I want you to just put a small comma there.
Yeah.
There are very many promises that the government of the day made, not just before they came into power, but even after they, in quotes, ascended to the throne.
Yeah.
We are looking at, I'm just going to mention one that they will put as a feather on their cap that they can pride themselves of, not really chest thump, but it is what it is. Digitization of more than 200,000 title deeds, which fine, that makes the processes easier. But they also promised us 750,000 affordable housing units by the year 2027. You've said we unpack that. We're not even having that as a conversation at the moment. But universal healthcare coverage. They've promised us that they're going to achieve a doctor to population ratio of 1 to 5,000 doctors. We've seen the issues they've been having with the health sector, with the nurses, with the interns, and then recruitment of additional teachers. These are their promises.
Yeah, the promises.
They made promises, but some money has to... The conversation today should not be about collection of taxes. No Kenyan has refused. And I don't think we have a choice to opt out of paying taxes. So we are clear about...
Taxes have been paid since independence.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is what you are doing with that money that is in question. How do you think they can achieve their promises without these new add-ons that we see in this contentious finance bill?
Yes, it is possible. First, because when you look at the budget, because the financial bill is to fund the budget.
Yes.
So you look at the budget and you see a lot of things that we can do without. I know one of the things that the members of parliament from the government side are trying to push as their main reason as why we need this more money is to employ JSS teachers.
Yes.
But even before that, we had this budget for last year.
Yes.
Whatever was in that budget, did you get everything out of it? Did you milk it 100%? For example, if there was a budget for roads, did you get those roads? If there's a budget for dams, did you get those dams? I mean, so the problem we have in the country right now is the message, that's being, brought to our face. The message of extravagance by the government.
Yes.
The message of a president who does not want to, kusema na kutenda.
Yes.
Whatever you are saying is different from what you're doing.
Yes.
You say you want to, lead a lean government, and you still want to add on.
We're seeing a bloated government.
You still want to have more CASs. You still want to have all these other people whose roles you don't know that much. I mean, so the message that is coming from the government is that of a government that does not want to do what it's promising to do.
Yeah.
And so these young people, the Generation Z, and even the millennials, they have been waiting, for a time.
Yes.
To show their force, and that time is now.
But while all this is going on in the forefront, the background remains a harsh reality that is debt. Our country is in debt. Debt you can't look away from. Debt that I understand borrowing to pay debt doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So, but where else can we have revenue generation for our country? Because even if, let's assume that I don't see the possibility of him, but because I feel it's going to set precedents for every time Mwananchi feels aggrieved or they want to do away with something, we'll take to the streets. So of course you can't show your hand so quickly as the president. So what measures do you feel on a personal level, and even from you sit on the news desk and you know you have a lot of information at your disposal, what are some of the measures do you feel the government can put in place without really having the Mwananchi shoulder the heaviest burden? Because that's what it feels like.
What happens when you want to build a country, you make the people, the business men and everybody else to be in an environment where they can grow. If you have a company in this kind of an economy, will that company be generating more income? If it generates more income, it means you're going to pay more tax.
Yes.
If you can employ more people, it means you're going to pay more payee. So they really is about the policies of the government. How do you move from taxing more to having more people pay tax?
I love that.
Yes.
How do you move from taxing heavier as opposed to more people being enabled economically?
Because what we are experiencing now is a situation whereby, yes, you'll want me to pay tax.
Yes.
But I'll be able to pay that tax for maybe 2-3 months. The fourth month, I've been sacked by my company because it can't sustain my pay. Meaning that for the next 1 year, 2 years, I'll be out there, I'll not be paying anything. So the policies of the government must be structured in a manner where business thrives, where people have no problem paying tax, where there's honesty in terms of expenditures. For example, if you say, at the moment we are talking about the intern doctors and all those people, JSS, if you pay JSS their salaries, they are going to become, they are going to have what we call purchasing power. So wherever they're going to stay, they're going to rent houses, the shops around there, they're going to spend their money around there. So you need to increase the purchasing power of the people so that they spend more. When they spend more, you collect more. So that goes down to policies. Now, the problem we have right now is that because of the debts that we have had before, we had to go and get a friend in terms of IMF or any other, a friend, somebody who can help us to come out of this. Now that friend comes with conditions. And I cannot really say much about that because those conditions are known by the government. But it's sure when you go for a loan, when you go to somebody, when you are desperate, he also has to come with conditions.
It's like a loan shark.
It's like a loan shark. So those are the conditions that now have brought us to where we are, where the president is tied. He wants to do what this Gen Z are saying. But
he cannot. He doesn't have the luxury
to do that. When you go to some of these financial institutions, there are those that are called financial institutions of last resort. Where you go last. Like when we go to a shark.
A Shylock. A loan shark.
It's a last resort. You have tried a loan here, you cannot qualify for a loan because maybe you don't have a good, you're not credit worth. So you go for somebody who can give you money, but tells you you are going to leave your car here. Or I'm going.
The terms will be definitely
hefty. So how we move from there is first by reducing our expenditures as a country. Let's be honest and serious about reducing our expenditures.
Sasa tuonge kama marafiki, Mike. Ukweli kwa Mungu, I just feel like once you have lived that life, it's like a dog that has beaten someone. It has to be put down, unfortunately. I'm not saying it like I'm saying in my thinking. I don't see them scaling back on their spending. I don't see any of them taking pay cuts. I'm not seeing them not moving with the big guzzlers and their luxuries being taken away from them. So what then happens? Because we are between, like you said, the president it's the toughest job today.
Yes, true. We agree, but he has not been very good at
walking the talk.
At walking the talk. So he has to start walking the talk. I mean, we had there's a time when he did a press conference and they said he's going to reduce the number of trips for government officials, the delegation and all that. Then we saw him with a very big delegation to the US the other day. We saw him so I mean,
and the display of luxurious items, the opulence, I mean, it's tone deaf, it's mean.
You've seen it on Twitter where now the Gen Z are going item by item.
Yes.
They pick the belt, they look at it, they say this costs 400,000 shillings. This can pay somebody a salary for, somebody getting 20,000.
Because you cannot tell your son, you cannot go to next semester, you cannot go back to campus next semester because we don't have funds in this house. And then you come wearing Gucci shoes. On what planet? Your own children will turn on you.
You go borrow money, instead of using that money, for example, to till your land and plant, you buy a Prado, or you buy something nice for yourself. So we'll see those things. We'll be happy to see them, but 3-4 months down the line, we'll have to start suffering for that kind of expenditure.
I read something somewhere I want to read to you, because in my head I've been telling myself you can't tax a nation to prosperity.
Definitely.
In fact, I read something that it's like standing in a bucket and lifting your own weight. So I read a 2023 World Taxation Report by World Population Review, and it painted a very different picture from what I had assumed. Of course, layman's thinking, because I'm not a numbers person. According to the report, Ugandans and Tanzanians are most taxed in East Africa. In the East African community, Kenya was ranked position 70 globally and 19th in Africa in terms of the most taxed countries. Is it about service delivery? Because we are concentrating on high taxes are going to do this. Is it about the money that I'm paying in tax and the services I'm getting from for my healthcare, for instance, my road maintenance, they don't tally, they don't match? Is that the big issue? Or it's just even the war on graft? Have we seen anybody look like
the biggest problem we have is what we call budgeted corruption, where we have funds that are set aside that you cannot explain their intended use, and when they're being used, they are not used prudently. For instance, you have somebody offering a tender, for example, to supply these machines, which might cost let's say laptops or even computers, which might cost around 50,000 shillings. But for tendering purposes, they are priced at 150,000 shillings for tendering purposes. So the intention of that fund is to make sure that somebody somewhere in between will benefit with 100,000 shillings per item. So we have those tenderpreneurs and everything. So anyway, we have a fund for the government not being used in the right manner. The end result is the people not get whatever they were supposed to get. Come the next budget cycle, we will still go back and budget more money
the same thing
for
play
the
out.
same thing. Because they didn't get whatever they're supposed to get for the first cycle, okay? So, so the problem is just graft, as you say, expenditures, if you are able to deal with those two, and then it has to come from the top. The president has to be serious. And one of the problems we have is because when the president was appointing his government, we saw the kind of people he was, bringing in. The people who have tainted records.
Politicians, as opposed to technocrats.
Yes, politicians.
That we saw
some
Kibaki
already had
bring
so many cases in court. We don't want to know whether they are guilty or not. The fact that they had a lot to deal with in court means that their records are tainted. And then, this is 2 years. We haven't seen him make any significant move to, for example, say this minister has not given me value in this ministry, let me take him out and get somebody else. He has to make decisions every day that show the country that he sees and he listens and he's making decisions for the country.
Oh, it's a tough one, Mike.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one, Mike. But give us the eventuality. Now you're speaking to me and my audience. I believe we resonate because, of course, we cannot ignore the politics of the day. But paint us a picture of what you see happening in the eventuality that this bill is passed as is?
Nothing much, because we know we have been here before. We had these problems last year with the housing levy and eventually had to pay it.
Yes.
What's going to happen is that we are going to move these politics to 2027. That will be the only point where all this anger now will be used appropriately.
The ballot.
At the ballot.
Is the finishing line.
The president might decide to make some changes in his government.
Yes.
He might decide to maybe just to cool down the tempers.
Yeah. What about the threats that whatever you're asking for is going to affect the school feeding program? Whatever so they're going to, are we going to see budget cuts in some of the things that we need in our day-to-day lives, for instance?
The budget cuts will be direct to those things that mean much to us.
Yeah.
And the reason is to show you and to remind you that you are not, I mean, whatever,
you don't have the final say.
Yes, whatever you are doing, whatever we are doing is for your good. That's why even last week when Ndindi Nyoro, the chair for the budget committee, was speaking,
yes,
he kept on repeating JSS, JSS, JSS.
Yes.
I mean, because he knows
it's a pain point.
The kind of, yes, it's a pain point.
It's a pain point.
Something that will make you start thinking, start reasoning with the government.
Yes, yes.
I mean, so that's what it's going to do. It's going to cut probably on the number of teachers who will be employed, because from whatever was communicated from the Treasury, it means even without the other amendments, the amendments that were proposed by the Finance Committee,
yes,
will affect the budget by 200 billion shillings. And then he stated the places where he's going to be forced to reduce the budget. He said the Ministry of Education, TSC, CDF, I don't know, last mile connection, whatever. All those things were supposed to intimidate the members of parliament.
Yes.
Because this is money that's supposed to help them clean their names in their constituencies.
Yes.
Yeah. So whatever I'm looking forward to is the anger will be sustained, yes.
Yeah. Will it be sustained because we're in 2024?
It will be sustained.
For 3 years?
It will be sustained. Why I'm saying this is because the online community has been dismissed previously as keyboard warriors.
Yes.
But the truth of the matter is, even the only reason why the president is in power is because of his presence on the digital space.
Yeah.
That's why Dennis Itumbi is a very big part of this government.
Yes.
He was the person leading that battalion online.
Yes.
He knows the power that is online. He knows that online spaces, you can have a rally of 1 million people.
Yes.
Without,
moving an inch.
Without moving an inch. And disturbing last week we saw, not last week, early this week, over the weekend, I believe, we had that Twitter space, X space, where over 1.2 million people viewed.
Yes.
And 6,000 people participated.
Yes.
So the anger will be sustained. And it might cool down. People might forget about it. But people will not forget if the president does not do anything to cool the tempers. And if he does anything, it has to be very significant.
Very.
Yes.
Very, because the battle lines have been drawn. Mike.
And I can assure you, all these leaders right now are worried. Even the president himself is worried because even the margin that he won with was quite small, 200,000 votes.
Yes, and these children, you've seen the numbers. Even now on Mombasa Road, you've seen the mammoth crowd.
Yeah. And most of them I've been with two guys at Radio Maisha just a few minutes ago.
Yes.
Who were participating in one of the panels there. And they have this finance bill, crammed.
Yes.
They know every part of it. They know every figure.
Yeah. Because we're used to a voter who just repeats chants that they don't fully understand, the tibims, the whatevers. Now you've reached someone who is well-read, who has the very good temperament. You've seen the children. The children on the streets have not done anything lawless. They are the precision, oh my goodness, is very admirable.
And so they have also, when you say Gen Z, it becomes a family.
Yes.
It doesn't matter whether you're in Nakuru, whether you're in Kisii or anywhere, as long as you're Gen Z. So when they come to 2027, whatever they're going to discuss as Gen Z is going to apply across the country. we will see Gen Z in Eldoret doing the exact thing that they have decided with the Gen Z in Mombasa. It's going to be a big deal, but it's not easy to predict what the president is going to do. But
I wanted you to do that with your crystal ball.
I would advise him personally.
Yes.
I would advise him to, when he's signing that bill, if he's going to sign it, he has to say things that will make us look forward to a better budget or a better finance bill come 2025, probably, because that's the time when he'll have enough time. This caught him by surprise. He didn't expect it.
Yes.
So, but now he'll know. So he'll have a whole year to plan how to counter this kind of narrative. But the best thing is not to sign it at all. That one will take us back to 2023, 2024 budget cycle.
Yes.
We'll still collect whatever we're supposed to collect using that finance bill.
Yes.
Then he'll go to the appropriations bill. That will be passed after this, because it has to be passed for money to be spent.
Do you think they have him, I was going to say by the, like backed up against the wall? Do you think he's feeling the pressure?
Yes, he's feeling the pressure.
What are the chances of him not signing it at all?
I know it's going to be a big deal, but he's going to hide behind the amendments that were proposed last week. That the Gen Zs didn't budge. Yes, they're like too little, too late, almost manipulative. Yes. But it's hard. It's hard to predict. But I can see that possibility. If this continues, you've left us hopeful. If this continues, let's say applying pressure. If this pressure continues, let's say up to, because this is going to continue, the parliamentary business will continue, I think, to late hours. He's going to look at it himself. He's going to get advice from the National Intelligence Service. He's going to get advice from his leaders. Yes. If you have seen the kind of the way they have changed their tone just within a span of 4 days. But Mike, changed the tone, and then we have allegations of, not allegations, people have been abducted. So I'm just like, you're blowing hot, you're blowing cold, we are confused. We have two, kind of scenarios here. Yes. We have the politics, and then we have the administration part. So for the politicians, they are looking forward to the next election. For the administration, they want to give answers. The president must have asked a lot of questions to the National Intelligence Service, to the security systems. Yes. What happened? Yes. So these abductions is an information fishing expedition. They are trying to who is your leader? Are you being funded? Yes. Where do you get all this courage from? Because it's unfathomable that people are just angry. I mean, yes. So that's a fishing expedition, and they also want to also control the narrative online. Is it fear? Is it fear mongering? Is it to spread fear also within the Gen Z, but also to community? The kind of people that are being targeted are very influential online. Yes. So they are trying to control the narrative. People like Gabriel Oguda has been leading this narrative for so long. In fact, at some point, he was the Lone Ranger. Yes. I mean, we see him here very active. He retweets SpiceFM Situation Room content. Engaging and always ready to counter whatever narrative whatever banter you bring at him. But the end game is we'll have the president relook and change his tone, his arrogance, not arrogance, the arrogance of the government. I can't say the arrogance of the president, but the arrogance of the government. When you see, because he's an institution. When you see these leaders with their whatever, those very expensive shoes, very expensive belts, expensive watches, that is arrogance. Is simply and the timing is and everything off. So we are going to see some change in that. But whatever is going to change will not change for the good of the Gen Z as such. It's for the politics. It's for making sure that they are able to, have a conducive environment to govern and to still hope for another term in the next elections. Well, wishful thinking. Thank you so much, sir. I know you're supposed to be going live on air. On air. I'll be doing the news at 1. Yes. So I'll be back any other time when you need me. You definitely. We will discuss it after whatever he decides to do. Thank you so Mike Nyaguoka. And as you leave, I'm going to play Chris Brown's Delusional.
it doesn't mean anything. It's just a song. Thank you, sir.
How we turn this house we live into a prison. Guess you wish you never fell in love with me. Don't know how we got to not sharing the kitchen. Sometimes I wish that we didn't